I would, based on my experience, probably say that using some sort of philosophically grounded decision framework probably makes the most sense to students at the undergraduate level. Getting to talk about moral theories, getting to talk about all the problems in almost any moral theory you're going to find, getting them to understand that they're useful despite their flaws is possible but not easy. Getting them to understand that there are certain reasons why people act morally that they themselves can identify in themselves as well as in all their friends, their parents, their bosses at work, wherever it happens to be. Getting them to understand that there are philosophical reasons behind these reasons that we all think of as sort of common sense, and getting them to understand that that's pretty important stuff, and that you can balance those over time and in any particular decision is a little bit easier to do. And it gets you eventually to the same place. So if you're going to talk about utilitarianism as a theory, you're operating on a particular decision mode. You're thinking about the greatest good for the greatest number of people. If you're talking about the consequences of an action, you're still thinking about the same basic issues. You're still thinking about who's benefited, who's harmed, who's benefited a lot, who's benefited a little bit, who's harmed a lot, who's harmed a little bit. So you're still thinking about the same sorts of issues, but you're not focused in on a theory that has holes that are easily seen and can sort of distract you from how you're going to think about making this decision. Whereas if you're thinking about, okay, I got to think about consequences, then consequences becomes very easy. We think about it all the time. And it's a natural part of how we make decisions. And so students understand it, can buy into it, and I think, I would argue, can use it more effectively going forward in how they're trying to make decisions than if they're struggling with whether John Stuart Mill really was an act utilitarian or a rule utilitarian, which is important to people like me who sit around and write articles that 5 people read, but it's not so important when you're trying to make a decision.